Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshuronmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are beginning the new chapter. Vidura Uvacha Ye Tvayabhita Brahman Suta Prachina Barhishaha Te Rudra Gitena Harim Siddhimapu Pratoshykim.
Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O Brahmana, you formally spoke about the sons of Prachina Barhi and informed me that they satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead by chanting a song composed by Lord Shiva. What did they achieve in this way?
Okay. So Vidura is asking a question in this chapter. Tvaya Abhihita, O Brahmana, what did the sons of Prachina Barhi? Prachina Barhishaha refers to the sons of Prachina Barhi, Prachetas. Tvaya Abhihita, you had mentioned previously, the 24th chapter. Apuhu, what did they attain? Rudra Gitena Harim Pratoshya Kam siddhim apuhu. They, those people, after satisfying Lord Hari by the Rudra Gita prayers, Kam siddhim apuhu. What perfection did they attain? What did they attain? So here, Vidura, in the first two verses, Vidura is asking a question that what did the Prachetas attain in this world? They got darshan of the Lord. What did they attain in this world? That is what he is going to ask. So he was especially inquisitive to know about what they achieved by satisfying the Supreme Lord. Siddhim apuhu means achieved perfection. According to the Bhagavad Gita, the highest perfection is going back to the spiritual world. Mamupetya punarjanmam dukkalay mashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gataha. Samsiddhim paramam gata, to achieve the highest abode. That is the highest perfection. By the grace of Shiva, Prachetas finally attained perfection and returned home back to Godhead after enjoying material facilities to the highest extent. So, but Vidura is asking, wanting to know, what did they achieve in this world? What did they do in this world? Next shloka. Kim barhaspatyeha paratravata kaivalyanata priyaparshvavartinaha asadya devam girisham yadrichaya prapuparam nunamata prachetasaha.
My dear Barhaspatya, what did the sons of King Barhishat, known as the Prachetas, obtain after meeting Lord Shiva, who is very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the bestower of liberation? Certainly they were transferred to the spiritual world. But apart from that, what did they obtain within this material world, either in this life or in other lives?
Barhaspatya means a disciple of Brihaspati. Or disciple of Brihaspati, that Prachetas, Param Prapuhu, what excellent benediction did they achieve? Did they achieve in this world and the next world? Iha and Paratra. Iha in this world, Paratra after leaving this world. Kaivalyanatha Priya Parshvavartinaha. Kaivalyanatha Priya Parshvavartinaha. It refers to the Prachetas who are the Parshva, you are the associates of Kaivalyanatha, who are the associates of Lord Shiva. So those Prachetas, Girisham Yadrichaya, after attaining the association of Lord Shiva, Yadrichaya, by some fortune, after obtaining that, what perfection did they achieve in this world and also in the next world? So, this is an interesting thing because sometimes in regards to pure devotees, you only speak in terms of they attained Krishna's shelter, they went to Vaikuntha. But here this question is about what a devotee attains in this world while living in this world. So the Vedic scriptures give a program for living a prosperous life in this world and also attaining liberation in the next world. Sahayagnya praja srishtva puro vacha prajapatihi anena prasavishyadvam yeshavostvishta kamaduk. The beginning sacrifices were sent forth, and Manu told that you perform this sacrifice, you will attain prosperity in this world and also liberation in the next world. Suniti is telling to Dhruva Maharaj, Tata Manurvo Bhagavan Pitamaho Yam Eka Matya Purudakshinair Makaihi Ishtwabhipede Duravapa Manyato Bhaumam Sukham Divyam Atapa Vargyam. Your grandfather Swayambhuva Manu, by performing sacrifices and worshipped Lord Vishnu, performed sacrifice and worshipped Lord Vishnu, by that he attained Bhaumam Sukham Divyam. While living in this world, he attained prosperity, and Atapa Vargyam, the next world he attained liberation. Prabhupada says in that purport, success means to get prosperity while living in this world and to attain liberation in the next world. A holistic definition of success is given. The Vedic scriptures also give a very holistic program. How to live a long life, healthy life, peaceful life, a happy life, and a spiritual life. So that holistic program is given. So some organizations, they only focus on art of living. They don't focus on art of leaving this world. And some organizations, some teachers, they only focus on art of leaving. But if they don't focus on the art of living in this world, Varnashram Dharma, because many people, they are not able to connect to the topics of transcendence unless their immediate needs are addressed. Immediately, there are so many problems or needs are there. Unless they are addressed, they are not able to focus their mind on topics of transcendence. So therefore, we need to give a holistic program, art of living and art of living. So here, the distress and happiness obtained during the span of life are called Iha, and the next life they are called Paratra. So the so Lord Shiva can offer any of the material benedictions, but the Prachetas met Lord Shiva by providential arrangement, and to Prachetas, Lord Shiva gave the Rudra Gita. So even if sometimes a devotee desires to enjoy certain material opulences, that chance is given by the Lord to enjoy in the world before going to the spiritual world. Sometimes a devotee is transferred to higher planets and later he is transferred to Vaikuntha. Maitreya Uvacha Prachetasontar Udadau Pituradesha Karinaha Japayagena Tapasa Puranjanamatosayan.
The great sage Maitreya said, the sons of King Prachin Barhi, known as the Prachetas, underwent severe austerities within the sea water to carry out the order of their father. By chanting and repeating the mantras given by Lord Shiva, they were able to satisfy Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Prachetasontar Udadau. So the second shloka. Prachetasontar Udadau Pituradeshakarinaha. By following the instructions of his father within the water and by chanting the Rudra Gita, prayer taught by Lord Shiva, Puranjanam Atoshayan. They satisfied Puranjana. So Puranjana in this shloka, it refers to the Supreme Personality of God. Previously in the allegorical story, Puranjana refers to the living entity, but here it refers to the Supreme Lord. So therefore Prabhupada explains that in the purport. Puranjan refers to the living entity and to the Supreme Lord. And here Prachetas, they offered the prayers which was taught by Lord Shiva. So one kind of prayer is that one can repeat the prayers of the great devotees, or another kind of prayer is offer one's personal prayer to the Lord. It's not that one is superior, one is inferior, but both can be practiced by a devotee. When we offer the notable prayers offered by the pure devotees, that is an item of sadhana bhakti. Another is that offering a personal prayer. Both are there. But just like Brahma Samhita is a prayer offered by Brahma, we chant those prayers because the prayers of the pure devotees, they were accepted by the Lord. They were accepted by the Lord. Therefore, to repeat those prayers is an anga of bhakti. Sometimes in one class Prabhupada mentioned, sometimes people say the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, they are in Bengali. We don't understand Bengali. Better sing some songs of the local language. It may not have been written by a pure devotee, but then sometimes people say better we can sing some songs in the local language. Sometimes the devotees translate those Bengali songs into Hindi. Navayungendra Maharaj sometimes translates into Hindi and sings that. That is nice. One can offer prayers in the local language, not against it. But at the same time, just because we don't know Bengali or the Sanskrit, it doesn't mean that we don't chant those prayers composed by those devotees. Even if you don't know the meaning, but repeating the prayers offered by those devotees is important because Prabhupada mentioned that the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, they are like a thunderbolt. Thunderbolt has no language. Anybody from any part of the world, they understand the language of thunderbolt. Similarly, these prayers offered by the pure devotees, even if sometimes you don't understand the meaning, but we can repeat those prayers because by repeating those prayers, we can win the heart of the Lord. So Prabhupada emphasizes about repeating the prayers of the great personalities, following in the footsteps of the great personalities. In pleasing the Lord. And then, of course, he explains that Puranjana refers to the living entity and also to the Supreme Lord. In this shloka, Puranjana refers to the Supreme Lord. Dashavarsha Sahasrante Purushastu Sanatanaha Tesham Avirabhut Krichram Shantena Shamayanrucha.
At the end of 10,000 years of severe austerities performed by the Prachetas, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to reward their austerities, appeared before them in his very pleasing form. This appealed to the Prachetas and satisfied the labor of their austerities.
So they performed austerities for 10,000 years. Dasha Varsha Sahasrante. At that time, the eternal Supreme Lord, Sanatana Purusha, Tesham Avirabhut, he appeared to them. Shantena Shamayan Rucha. He mitigated their austerities by his soothing beauty. Shamayan Rucha. Shantena Rucha Shamayan. So 10,000 at that time people had a capacity because they had a long lifespan. 10,000 years of austerity does not seem a happy endeavor, but the serious students undergo such austerities to attain the favor of the Lord. So when the duration of life was very long, people could undergo severe austerities for thousands of years. When Valmiki, it is said that he performed austerities for 60,000 years. Anyway, today is Valmiki. Today is the appearance of Valmiki. Valmiki, no, we don't say Jayanti. Jayanti is only for Krishna. So Valmiki's appearance day. So there is a famous shloka in the Tilaka commentary. One of the commentary in Ramayana called a Tilaka. Veda Vedye Pare Pumsi Jate Dasharatatmaje Veda Pracheta Sadasid Sakshad Ramayanatmana. So the Vedas are the Vachya and the Supreme Bhagavan is the Vachaka. When I say Ramesh, Ramesh is the Vachya and the person indicated by Ramesh, that is the Vachaka. Similarly, Vedas are the Vachya and the Bhagavan is the Vachaka. When that Supreme Bhagavan, Veda Vedye Pare Pumsi Jate Dasharathatmajet, when that Supreme Bhagavan appeared as the son of Dasharatha, at that time, the Vedas appeared as Ramayana through Valmiki Rishi. Veda Prachetasad Asit. Valmiki Rishi is also Prachetasa. Veda Prachetasad Asit Sakshat Ramayanatmana. So there's another beautiful shloka in Rama Tilaka commentary. Valmiki Girisambhuta Ramam Bonidi Sangata Srimad Ramayani Ganga Punatu Bhuvanatrayam. Having arisen from the mountain called as Ramayana, the mountain called as Valmiki, it finally ends up in the ocean called Rama. Indeed, this Ganga-like Ramayana ends up purifying the three worlds. So Prabhupada says that the Supreme Bhagavan appreciated the austerities of the Prachetas. So they all became satisfied, and when they saw the Supreme Lord, they forgot all their austerities. So if one is successful after hard labor, he is very pleased. Similarly, the devotee forgets all his labors and austerities as soon as he gets darshan of the Lord. So, but in Kali Yuga, it's not possible to perform such austerities. Kali Yuga, the simple process of Harinam is given. So simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can attain the same results. But as Mahaprabhu points out, we are so unfortunate that we are not even attracted to chanting the mantra, Maha Mantra. Next few verses are the description of Lord Vishnu. You can read the... Yes, sir.
Our Prachin Barhi is mostly attached to Karmakanda. But sons happen to be like going for, as the verse is saying, that they are fixed in trying to please the Lord.
They are fixed in?
Trying to please the Supreme Lord.
Hmm.
That's why it happens to be Lord Shiva is pleased with them. That he says that also, that I am very pleased because he wanted to worship the Supreme Lord. How they came from karma, whether father told them to worship the Supreme Lord, or how they happen to be transformed from karma to karma Mr. Bhakti, or I don't know exactly what they are fixed in.
A good question. Because according to the Bhagavatam description,
Yeah, it
they
doesn't
went to actually worship the Lord.
worship the Lord. Yeah.
Lord Shiva comes, Lord Shiva says that because you are going to actually worship the Supreme Lord, I'm very pleased with you. And
Yeah.
then he teaches the Rudra Gita. Who taught them to worship the Supreme Lord? Bhagavatam does not specify. It could be their Guru. They must have learnt in the Gurukul also. And they were going to perform austerities to please the Lord before begetting progeny. So Lord Shiva taught the Rudra Gita, but even before that, they were going to worship the Lord. That is the Bhagavatam says. Who taught them?
Anything instructions given by father to them we have in Bhagavatam. I didn't-
Father told them to perform austerities before begetting children. That he mentioned.
Okay, that's
Specifically, did he tell, oh, you have to worship Vishnu?
Okay.
That's not mentioned.
just like Suniti told to Dhruva Maharaj.
It's not specifically mentioned.
Yes.
Next shloka. So next few shlokas are the description. Somebody can read the translation.
The personality of Godhead appearing on the shoulder of Garuda seemed like a cloud resting on the summit of mountain known as Meru. The transcendental body of the personality of Godhead was covered by attractive yellow garments, and his neck was decorated with a jewel known as Kaustubhamani. The bodily effulgence of the Lord dissipated all the darkness of the universe.
Suparna Skanda Marudo, mounted on Garuda. Meru Shringam Iva Ambudaha. Meru Shringam. He seemed like a cloud resting on the summit of Mount Meru. Pitavasa Manigriva Purvan Vitimiradisha. So the bodily effulgence of the Lord dissipated all the darkness. So here, so the Lord is just like the effulgence sun. Consequently, whenever the Supreme Lord is present, there cannot be darkness or ignorance. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hoy Andhakar. Next shloka also, there is a description of the form of the Lord. Kashishnuna Kanakavarna Vibhushanena Brajat Kapola Vadano Vilasat Kiritah Ashtayudairanucharair Munibisurendrair Ashevito Garuda Kinnara Gita Kirte.
The Lord's face was very beautiful, and his head was decorated with a shining helmet and golden ornaments. The helmet was dazzling and was very beautifully situated on his head. The Lord had 8 arms which each held a particular weapon. The Lord was surrounded by demigods, great sages, and other associates. These were all engaged in his service. Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, glorified the Lord with Vedic hymns by flapping his wings. Garuda appeared to be an inhabitant of the planet known as Kinnaraloka.
Suparna Skanda Marudo, riding on the shoulders of Garuda. Meru Shringam Iva Ambudaha. So Bhagavatam, many places, the word Iva comes actually. Analogy. Yesterday also mentioned. Meru Shringam Iva Ambuda means he appeared like a cloud on the peak of Mount Meru. He appeared like a. So it's a comparison. It's not a. As a Iva means tad binnatve sati tat sadrishyatvam. Tad binnatve sati. There is a difference, at the same time sadrishyatvam. There is a commonality. Being separate from that, at the same time there is a commonality. So Meru Shringam Iva Ambudaha. Pitavasa Manigriva, Pitambara, and then Pitambara, he was having Pitambara Vastra, and the Manigriva, there was a money on the neck. Purvan Vitimira Dishaha, he dissipated the darkness in all the directions. So in this shloka, yeah, this is fifth shloka. Okay. Next one. Kashishnuna Kanakavarna Vibhushanena. This is done? Okay. So his cheeks were shining because of his bright gold earrings and the colorful gems. And he had 8 hands. Regarding the 8 hands, Prabhupada explains that according to Viraraga Acharya, conch shell and lotus are also accepted as weapons. Since the Lord is the controller, whatever is in his hand can be considered a weapon. Four hands hold 4 kinds of weapons, and the extra 4 hands hold an arrow, bow, trident, and snake. So how can you say Shankha is a weapon or a flower is a weapon? But Krishna, because he is omnipotent, he can use even flower as a weapon. Balramji used the grass as a weapon. So just like a king is always accompanied by his associate, so Lord appeared along with Garuda. Gita Kirti indicates that the inhabitants of Kinnara Loka are very expert in singing the glories of the Lord. So in each and every universe, there are different types of goodness. There are different types of planets, and each planet has a distinctive features. On the strength of this verse, we can understand that in Kinnara Loka, the inhabitants can fly with their wings. There is also a planet known as Siddha Loka, where the inhabitants can fly without wings. Next to shloka, you can read the translation.
Around the neck of the neck of the personality of Godhead hung a flower garland that reached to his knees. His 8 stout and elongated arms were decorated with that garland, which challenged the beauty of the goddess of fortune. With a merciful glance and a voice like thunder, the Lord addressed the sons of King Prachina Barhishat, who were very much surrendered unto him.
Just come 1 minute.
Okay.
नहीं मिलेगा, कुछ तो प्रॉब्लम है, वो कुछ वैसे क्यों चाहिए आपको? वैसे क्यों चाहिए आपको? इधर आके बैठो, इधर आके बैठो।
नहीं क्या ब्रो ये आ जाएंगे ना अभी ब्रो, कोई रमा वाला रमा वाला ब्रो
So in this shloka, there is a, you see the important word, Spardat Sparda Shriya Parivruto Vanamala Yadya. Sparda means there is a competition. The Lord was having a beautiful garland accompanied by Lakshmi, who competed with the beauty of his array of 8 long, thick arms. Vanamala Yadya, he was wearing a garland, and with a merciful glance, he spoke to the surrendered sons of Prachina Barihi in a thunderous voice. So the Lord appeared to be competing with Lakshmi Devi with beauty. There is also a beautiful shloka in the 11th canto. The demigods are offering prayers to Krishna. The demigods are coming with a flower garland. They are offering to the Lord. And then they say that Paryushtaya tava vibho vanamala yeyam samspardini bhagavati pratipatni vachri. You accept the worship with the withered flower garland that we have prepared with devotion, with which Lakshmi must compete like a jealous co-wife. The garland is placed in the chest of the Lord. Lakshmi Devi is also in the chest of the Lord. So Lakshmi Devi, by seeing the garland, Lakshmi Devi is thinking that, oh, this the garland is another co-wife has come to compete with me. But the demigods are saying, although we are offered our garland is not so good, it is a withered garland, but still we hope that you will not reject our garland, because your nature is that you don't reject the offerings of even insignificant devotee. Even next shloka. So the next shloka is a very important shloka. We'll discuss this a little more. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Varam Vrinidvam Bhadrambo Yuyam Me Nripanandanaha Sauhardena Pratagdharmas Tushtoham Sauhrdena Va.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear sons of the King, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendships that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me."
Bhadram te, all fortune to you. Please choose a benediction. Varam Vrinidvam. Please, Vrinidvam is in the Bahuvachan. O Nripanandana, O sons of a king. Sauhardena Aprutak Dharma. Sauhrdena Aham Tushtaha. By your mutual friendship, you have the same quality. Sauhardena Aprutak Dharma. And Sauhardena Aham Tushtaha. I am pleased with your friendship. So this is a very important shloka which emphasizes about the unity among the Vaishnavas, friendship between the devotees, or the cooperation between the devotees. Many themes can be spoken in this line. So here Prabhupada, let us go through some points in Prabhupada's purport. Every son of Prachina Parishad was an individual soul but they were united in offering transcendental service to the Lord. The unity of the individual souls attempting to satisfy the Lord is the real unity. The material world, such a unity is not possible. Although United Nations is there, but each nation has a separate interest. Disunity between individual souls is so strong within the material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions and leaning toward material things. So actually in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be two opinions. There is only one goal: to serve Krishna to one's best ability. If there is a disagreement, that is to be taken as spiritual. Those who are actually engaged in the service of the Lord cannot be disunited in any circumstance. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy and willing to award all kinds of benediction to his devotees. So we can see that the Lord is immediately prepared to award all benedictions to the sons of Prachina Parishat. So I'll mention some instances from the Bhagavatam. This is a cooperation. The 10th canto beginning, all the Devatas together they went to milk ocean. They offered prayers. The Harishuri mentions why they went together. Brahma approached only Brahma, earth approached only Brahma, but why did Brahma take the other Devatas? Because collective prayer is more powerful than individual prayer. For all of them collectively offered prayers. Prithu Maharaj, he cooperated with Indra and stopped performing the 100th sacrifice. So how could he cooperate with Indra? What made him cooperate with Indra? Especially to cooperate with a person so like-minded or who is doing good to you is not difficult. But to cooperate with a person who repeatedly put effort to steal your horse, who repeatedly put effort to not allow you to progress, such a person, to cooperate with a person is difficult. But Prithu Maharaj cooperated because he had, because of his obedience to Brahma and love for Vishnu, the obedience to the Guru and the love for the Supreme Lord manifests in the form of the cooperation or unity among the equals. So, some devotees mentioned that just like Shankaracharya speaks about different Mahavakyas in the Upanishads. Soham, Ham Brahmasmi, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. So similarly, some devotees say that the Mahavakyas in Srila Prabhupada's teaching is that show your love for me by cooperating with each other. The Prabhupada sometimes he says that Bhakti is the yoga of cooperation. Another place he says, when you do something doing something in cooperation with the Lord is called Bhakti. So this word has a unique place in Prabhupada's dictionary, cooperation. Another time, one devotee, and Prabhupada was there in the deathbed, last days. One devotee came to meet Prabhupada, and then he started shedding tears by seeing Prabhupada's condition. That time Prabhupada said that actions of cooperation is more important than simple, ardent words spoken with feeling. Actions of cooperation, unity is more important than simple, ardent words spoken with feeling. So, if in order for cooperation, in order to have cooperation, one needs to be focused on the higher principle. in the, for example, 10th canto, 2nd chapter, when Kamsa started performing atrocities, that time many of the people, they flew, they left Mathura and then they took shelter of the other kingdoms. But it is mentioned that some of the devotees, they continue to stay with Kamsa and they cooperated with the plans of Kamsa. Some of the devotees, Akrura and Kritavarma. One may wonder, how could they cooperate with the plans of Kamsa? How can a devotee actually cooperate? Because these devotees, they were eager to directly witness the pastimes of Krishna. They felt that if we stay with Kamsa, we'll get a chance to witness the pastimes of Krishna. So with that higher principle in mind, they could cooperate even with a personality like Kamsa. So similarly, if we keep the higher principle in focus, one can cooperate even with a person of a completely opposite nature. Person like Kamsa who wanted to kill Krishna. The Devatas and Asuras, they cooperated with each other in the churning of the milk ocean because they were focused on the what they were focused on? They were focused on the goal of nectar. So Devatas and Asuras, they are completely opposite nature. Vishnu Bhakta Smruto Daiva Asuras Tad Viparyayah. But because they were focused on the nectar, they could cooperate with each other. So that focus on the higher principle. Another example, the Jarikanda forest, very famous example. Zolnas Radhanath Maharaj mentions that in the Jarikanda forest, like we all of us, we have so many differences. We have so many differences. Some opinion, different opinions, different way of functioning, etc. But the difference between tiger and deer, there is a completely different, there's an utmost difference. When the tiger sees the deer, the only thing it thinks is that, oh, my lunch box has come. When the deer sees the tiger, the only thing comes to its thought is that my death has come. And the tiger and deer, they have been inimical towards each other since time immemorial. But still, when the holy name came between them, the tiger and deer, they were able to embrace each other. They were able to dance together. So that means the higher principle can, how the higher principle can focus on the higher principle can result in cooperation. Because this is one of the important thing. Recently, it's in one place, already so many groups and conflicts are going on, and that all of them were disciples of the same guru. There were conflict between two groups. Both of them wanted to manage that particular center, the power. They wanted the power. And there were conflict. So therefore, they said that, they told that, why don't you send a third person? Neither, okay, both of us not manage, let you send a third person and let him manage. And they sent a third person from the higher authorities. Then after some time, these two groups who were fighting, they came together and they said that, you please take him back, we will manage together. And they said, like, we are not here to just, whatever you whimsically decide, we are not going to take back, they told. And he was continuing to perform service. But these two, they started a parallel program outside. There's no problem in starting other preaching, but more like a competition. Center is there, and then few buildings away, another parallel program. So this devotee was saying that there was a Vyas Puja of their Guru Maharaj. And then in the Vyas Puja, the other people who are conflicting, they're competing, they also came. And then they said, we want to meet you. So he went to meet them in the second floor or third floor. And they said that, in plain language, just get out of this place. That too, Vyas Puja of the Guru Maharaj, and all of them are disciples of the same Guru. Then he said, I am ready to leave next moment. But let my higher authorities tell, then if they tell, I am ready to leave. Otherwise, they have given the service, this personality, therefore I have come. I don't want to leave without their, unless they tell, I won't leave. And then they are saying that if you don't leave, we will actually throw you from the third floor. So how, the point is that the desire for power or a position, it becomes sometimes a person can become so blinded that we may behave like a rowdy, actually. We may behave like a very low class one. And sometimes people, they don't show some fighting. When there is a common enemy, one is supposed to unite and then fight against the common enemy. But there one doesn't show any spirit. And then within this one, just for power and this one, there's so much of a. So the devotee was sharing that. So the point is that this is a very important thing, because differences will always be there. Differences will always be there, but then not that we don't forget the differences, but while keeping the differences, at the same time, focus on the higher principle, uniting principle. That is important. So, Jarikanda forest, Mahaprabhu demonstrated how the holy name can bring the deer and tiger together. Other examples, forest fire in Krishna Leela. What does the forest fire represent in Krishna Leela? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that forest fire represents the intercommunal conflict between the devotees, or the intercommunal conflict between the different sampradayas. Or the forest fire represents the attachment to debate and then defeat others, argument and quarrel. So, material existence is like a forest fire. We are supposed to, the Guru is the samsara dava nalalida loka tranaya karunya gana ganatvam. The spiritual master's mercy is like the rain cloud which comes to extinguish the forest fire. So we are supposed to assist the Guru in extinguishing the forest fire. But when we fight with each other, what we are doing is that we are only increasing the forest fire. So as Radhanath Maharaj mentioned, if Krishna is in the center, then even if there is some apparent fighting, it will only increase our attachment to Krishna. Jatila and Kutila, they would be fighting with Radharani, quarrel, this one. But because Krishna is in the center, the whole thing ultimately increases the attachment to Krishna. It increases the taste of the Bhakti rasa in those pastimes. So, so the whole principle here, what Vishnu is speaking to Prachetas, is the principle of unity in diversity. So diversity is a natural quality in this world. Even the twins, they also have diverse qualities. They may look same, but there still many differences are there. But although the 10 prachetas, they had diverse qualities, but they were united. Sauhardena aprutak dharma. They were united in the principle of pleasing the Lord. So Prabhupada explains, I'll quote some examples, some quotes of unity in diversity, how this is a very important thing. Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha refers to that which is against the principle of unity in diversity, philosophically known as Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. So the unity in diversity is the practical application of Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. The philosophy is called as Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. The practical application is unity in diversity. Another place, Prabhupada says that what will make our movement successful in the long run? Material nature means dissension and disagreement, especially in Kali Yuga. But for this Krishna consciousness movement, its success will depend on agreement, even though there are varieties of engagements. In the material world, there are varieties, but there is no agreement. In the spiritual world, there are varieties, but there is agreement. Material world is a place where there is a variety in rebelling against Krishna. Spiritual world is a place where there is a variety in serving Krishna. Although there is variety, but because they are focused on serving Krishna, so there is a uniting principle is there. In the material world, there is a variety in rebelling against Krishna, there is no uniting principle. The materialist, without being able to adjust the varieties and disagreements, makes everything zero. Shunyavad, or they want to make Mayavad. They cannot come into agreement with varieties. But if we keep Krishna in the center, then there will be agreement in variety. This is called unity in diversity. And then see how this unity in diversity is such an important principle. Prabhupada says that in every year in the Mayapur GBC meeting, what you are supposed to discuss is that you have to discuss unity in diversity. I am suggesting all our men meet in Mayapur every year during the Gaur Purnima festival. With all GBC and senior men, you should discuss how to make unity in diversity. So that is the importance Prabhupada gave to this principle, actually, unity in diversity. So just for the sake of unity, you cannot cancel the diversity. That will suffocate people. Because when you don't recognize the diversity of the people, and if you just, for the sake of unity, if you suffocate, oh, everyone has to do only youth preaching or only congregation preaching. Everyone has to do only book distribution. So for the sake of unity, when you don't recognize the diverse nature, people will get suffocated. And in the name of facilitating diversity, if we don't emphasize the uniting principle, then it will result in chaos and quarrel. So diversity has to be recognized and facilitated. At the same time, unity has to be emphasized. The uniting principle is the principle of pleasing Krishna. Diversity is the diverse natures. Diversity is facilitated by Varnashram Dharma, engaging people according to their Varna and Ashrama, their individual talents. And unite the people by emphasizing the Bhagavata Dharma, the principle of Haritoshanam. So therefore, unity in diversity we can also see in terms of the combination of Varnashram Dharma and the Bhagavata Dharma. And Yesterday also we discussed how there are differing opinions. Of course, I quoted enough Shastric Pramana. Whether the Jiva came from the spiritual world or the Anadi Avidya. I showed the Shastric references. There is, in both the cases, as I mentioned, it's not that those who say that a Jiva came from the Jiva did not come from the spiritual world, Anadi Avidya. It's not that they fail to accept Prabhupada as the founder Acharya. It's not that they stop worshipping Krishna. It's not that they stop performing the 64 limbs of Bhakti. So they also perform the 64 limbs of Bhakti. They worship Krishna. They accept Prabhupada as the founder Acharya. They pursue the same Krishna Prema only. So just because of the difference, or they have a different opinion, if we try to, you cannot have this opinion, then we compromise the principle of unity in diversity. So, okay, the diverse opinion is there, but at the same time, both are united on the principle of serving Krishna. So, in one sense, unity in diversity also in this regard means accommodating both the opinions. Accommodating both the opinions. So then Prabhupada said, he also quotes the story of that Aesop's fables. Another place he says, vision of unity in diversity, that alone gives peace. This is spoken by Lord Vishnu to Daksha. Trayanam ekabhavanam yona pashyati vaibidam sarva bhutatmanam brahman sa shantim adhigachyati. One who does not consider Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva or other living entities in general to be separate from the Supreme, one who knows Brahman actually realizes peace. Others do not. So Prabhupada says this is the philosophy of Achintya Beda Tattva. So every one of us is an expansion of the Supreme Lord, Vibhinnamsha. This accounts for unity in diversity. There are diverse manifestations, but at the same time they are one in Vishnu. Brahma is a living entity, but a Gunavatara of the Lord. All the living entities are Vibhinnamsha of the Lord. So you can see the unity, that how everything in this world is an energy of the Lord. There is nothing which is disconnected from the Lord. So therefore, this vision of unity in diversity alone gives peace. Another place in the 6th canto, the Narayana Kavacha mantra, it is said that those who are advanced in spiritual knowledge see unity in diversity. So Prabhupada has given many teachings, but out of that, this unity in diversity is definitely it's a very important teaching. Advanced in knowledge, those who are advanced in knowledge see unity in diversity. So unity in diversity, this concept is also spoken in the outside world also, apart from the devotee community. The outside world, they speak unity in diversity in terms of how in India there are so many states with a different culture or there are different languages, but still we are united in the concept of being an Indian. And India is a Rashtra. So communist, in one sense, communist idea is that they destroy the diversity. Classless society or man-woman equality. Communists, they destroy the diversity. So nationalist people, they speak about unity in diversity, but they speak unity in diversity in terms of we should be united for the sake of the country India. It's a good thing what they are saying, very good. But in the Bhagavatam, what Prabhupada is speaking, he is speaking unity and diversity on a much higher platform. So when the nationalists speak about unity and diversity, their diversity is within the India. That all Indians should be united, irrespective of the different barrier. All the Hindus should be united, irrespective of the barrier, for the sake of the country. What the Vaishnavacharya, they speak about unity and diversity, irrespective of the Vaishnavas from which background, which country, Europeans, Americans, and Japanese and Russians. There's a much greater diversity which they are talking about. And they should be, irrespective of the diversity from the different countries and different cultures and different language barriers from all over the world, they should be united in the principle of serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, serving Srila Prabhupada, serving the Guru Parampara. Another thing, unity in diversity, we can also see how Draupadi, from Draupadi we can learn. Draupadi had 5 husbands. Each of the husbands had a different nature. Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, each of them had a different nature. But Draupadi could handle the diversity of the different husbands with a different nature. And all the Pandavas, although they had so many differences, but still they remained united for the sake of 2 things. They remained united for the sake of Draupadi and for the sake of Krishna. The Kauravas expected that after the Dyuta Krida, the Pandavas will become disunited, because none of them are able to, because of following Yudhishthira Maharaj, none of the Pandavas provided help to Draupadi when she was when she needed the greatest help in the Dyuta Sabha. None of them provided help. So Kauravas expected that Pandavas would become more disunited. But on the other hand, after the Dyuta Krida, Pandavas became more united. Their unity increased for the sake of Draupadi. Draupadi had been insulted. We have to give a proper reply to that. They became more united, and they united for the sake of Krishna. So a leader should be like Draupadi. Just like Draupadi was able to handle the diverse natures of the Pandavas, similarly, any leader of a community, one of the important quality of a leader of any community should be, he should be able to handle the diversities. And if the person cannot handle the diversities, then he will be a very bad leader. That means like he may just encourage one particular activity, or some activity may be neglected. Leader should be able to handle the diversity. That means that, okay, some people engage in youth preaching, some people in book distribution, some people in congregation preaching, some people in children preaching, some people in say deity worship, some people in they're happy rendering different services. Yes. So you can encourage that. So if we when you recognize the different diverse nature and then facilitate the diverse nature according to the nature, that should be the quality of a leader, just like Draupadi could do that. And then the difference between Pandavas and Kauravas is that Pandavas, they were united for the right principle, for the sake of Krishna and Dharma. Kauravas, they also had unity, but they were united for the wrong principle. They were united for the wrong principle. Some more examples for unity in diversity. In the Mahaprabhu's pastimes itself. Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur. Advaita Acharya is such a leader of all the Brahmanas. Haridas Thakur is from the Mohammedan family. But they both were performing Sankirtan together, and their combined Sankirtan that attracted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to descend in this world. And Kolavecha Sridhar and Buddhimanta Khan. Buddhimanta Khan was such a wealthy person who only arranged the marriage of Mahaprabhu with Vishnu Priya. But Buddhimanta Khan, but Kolavecha Sridhar was an ordinary, like a beggar kind of. But both were united because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the center. Pundarika Vidyanidhi and Gadadhar Pandit. Pundarika Vidyanidhi, externally speaking, he would appear like a Vishayi. And Gadadhar Pandit was a very austere brahmachari. But they became the best of the friends. They became guru and disciple. So all these things show the principle of unity in diversity. So therefore, this shloka is a very important shloka. Next, go to the next one. Ye tu mam rudra gitena sayam pratah samahitaha stuvantyaham kamavaran dasye pragyam cha shobhanam.
Those who will offer me the prayers composed by Lord Shiva, both in the morning and in the evening, will be given benedictions by me. In this way, they can both fulfill their desires and attain good intelligence.
Yeah, one more thing, unity in diversity. Sometimes some people, they find it difficult to work together. So then they can be given different areas of service, and each of them can respect each other from a distance. So some people have different nature. You don't have to force. So you have to work with them only. We don't have to literally push force or something. No, they can be given different space to work in different, contribute in different this one, and at the same time they can have respect with each other. Because you see, Garuda and Vasiki. Garuda brought the Mandara Parvata. Then Lord told him, okay, now your time for service is over, you can go back. The next Vasuki is going to come. Or Jada he was lifting the palanquin, and he was lifting more in the Sattva Guna mode. But other three people who are lifting the palanquin, they were in Rajoguna. They would go fast, but Jada was going slowly by seeing the ants, giving way for the ants to go. So you can imagine how the one person is going in one speed, other three are going at a different speed. What will happen to the palanquin? So Prabhupada says that naturally it is bound that there is going to be a disturbance. So sometimes practically you have to put the team or the people in a particular nature to work together in a team. So you don't have to force also. आपको इनके साथ करना ही पड़ेगा. So sometimes there's some differences are there. One can be given different areas and then they respect each other's contribution, remaining distant. And sometimes one will have to work together. At that time, we have to put the diverse nature in the background. We have to put the uniting principle, the focus, and then work together. So, Lord is telling that those who glorify me by this Rudra Gita, I will give anything they desire and the glorious wisdom. In the 10th shloka, na? Yeah, in this verse it is indicated that those who remember the activities of the Prachetas, the sons of Prachina Barishad, will be delivered and blessed. So what to speak of the sons of Prachina Barishad who are directly connected to the Supreme Personality of God? This is the Parampara system. There is no difference between hearing Gita directly from the Lord and also following a personality like Arjuna. Yadyuyam pituradesham agrahishtamudanvita ato vabushati kirtir lokan anubhavishyati.
Because you have with pleasure accepted within your hearts the orders of your father and have executed those orders very faithfully, your attractive qualities will be celebrated all over the world.
So he says that because you accepted the order of your father, yuyam pituradesham agrahishta mudanvita, with joy, you will have attractive fame. Ushati kirtir lokan, in this world. Sometimes unintelligent men ask why one is put into a miserable condition even though everyone is under the control of the Lord. So because of his minute independence, the living entity misuses it. If he obeys the Supreme Lord, he becomes happy. If he does not, he becomes unhappy. So the living entity creates his own happiness and unhappiness. Purusha sukha dukkhanam bhoktrutve heturuchyate. The Lord is praising the Prachetas because they all faithfully obeyed the orders of their father. Bhavita Vishruta Putro Navamo Brahmano Gunaihi Yayetam Atma Viryena Trilokim Pura Yeshyati.
You will have a nice son who will be in no way inferior to Lord Brahma. Consequently, he will be very famous all over the universe, and the sons and grandsons generated by him will fill the three worlds.
So you will have a famous son, not less in qualities than Brahma. Navamo Brahmano Gunaihi. And he will fill the three worlds with his offspring. That son will be the Daksha actually. The Prachetas were 10 in number. They performed austerities for 10,000 years. Before they were going to beget children, before that they were performing austerities. So it may appear that they performed, the 10 people, they performed austerities for 10,000 years. But the Lord is blessing that may you have one son. It appears disproportionate actually. The Lord is blessing them to have only one son. And then he says that all of them will get married to one girl. It appears that the benediction is so disproportionate to amount of hostility they performed. So quantitatively, it seems that the Lord's benediction is not in proportion to their austerities. But qualitatively speaking, that one son who would be born to Prachetas, he would be equal to Lord Brahma, as qualified as Brahma. Navamo Brahmano Gunai. So Gaur Krishna Davaji Maharaj, he just made one disciple. But that one disciple was so qualified. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, he established 64 Gaudiya Maths, so many disciples, and he inspired Prabhupada to go to the West and start preaching. And then next 3 shlokas he discusses who will be the wife. We'll read this and then we'll take a break. Yeah, you can read it.
O sons of King Prachin Barhisad, the heavenly society girl named Pramlokcha kept the lotus-eyed daughter of Kandu in the care of the forest trees. Then she went back to the heavenly planet. This daughter was born by the coupling of the Apsara named Pramlocha with the sage Kandu. Thereafter, the Thereafter, the child who was left to the care of the trees began to cry in hunger. At that time, the king of the forest, namely the king of the moon planet, out of compassion, placed his finger, which poured forth nectar, within the child's mouth. Thus, the child was raised by the mercy of the king of the moon.
So, Kandu Rishi got married to Pramlocha, who is an heavenly Apsara. They gave birth to a particular girl. Pramlocha left that girl and went back to the heavens. So the king of the trees took pity on that girl. King of the trees is Chandra. And then because the Chandra is having nectar, Chandra put his finger so that the child can actually suck that finger. And in that way, Chandra gave nectar to that finger, nectar to the child. So may you accept that particular girl who is the daughter of Kandu Rishi and Pramlocha and was raised by Chandra, was raised by the king of the trees, that is Soma. And you may marry this beautiful young woman without a delay. And you go to that place and then marry this girl without delay. So we'll take a break now and then.
Your brothers are all of the same nature, being my devotees and obedient sons of your father. Similarly, that girl is also of the same type and is dedicated to all of you. Thus, both the girl and you, the sons of Prachini Barhishat, are on the same platform, being united on a common principle.
Men cannot have many husbands, or their husband can have many wives. But these are specially expensive. Draupadi getting married. Supreme Personality of Godhead ordered all the sons of Prajna Parisha to marry the one girl, born of Kandu and Prabhu. In special cases, a girl is allowed to marry more than one man, provided she is able to treat her husband equally. This is not possible for an ordinary. Only one who is especially qualified can be allowed to marry more than one husband. In this age of Kali, to find such an equipoised woman is very difficult. Therefore, according to scripture, Kalau Pancha Vivarjayet. In this age, a woman is forbidden to marry her husband's brother. Ashwamedam Gavalambam, Sanyasam Palapaitrukam, Devarena Sutotpattim Kalau Pancha Vivarjayet. Because it's very difficult to find a woman who is equipoised. This system is still practiced in some of the hilly tracts of India. The Lord says that Apritak Dharma Shileyam Bhuyat Patni Arpita Shaya, with the blessings of the Lord, all things are possible. The Lord especially blessed the girl to surrender equally to all the brothers. Apratak Dharma, meaning occupational duty without difference of purpose, is taught in the Bhagavad Gita. So then Prabhupada is connecting that to how acting on behalf of the Lord. So one may act according to one's occupational duty just to satisfy the Yajna Purusha. That is called Apratak Dharma. Different limbs of the Lord may act in different ways, but the ultimate objective is to maintain the entire body. So we should follow in the footsteps of the Prajetas, whose only aim was to satisfy the Supreme Lord. This is called Apratak Dharma. According to Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman Parityajya, this is the advice of Krishna. Our only aim should be to act in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the Lord. This is oneness or Apratak Dharma. So Apratak Dharma, Prabhupada is giving a purport in 3 levels. First level, he says that the Lord is telling to this girl that you must serve all the husbands with an equal disposition. You must surrender. You should have equipoised nature and serve them, all of them, treat them equally. That is Apratak Dharma. Second point, Prabhupada says that Apratak Dharma means when the members of the Varnashram system, when all of them have the same purpose of pleasing the Lord, then that is Apratak Dharma. Although their activities may be different, but the purpose is same. Yajnartat karmanon yatra lokoyam karma bandhana. And the third point of Apratak Dharma is that Sharanagati, surrender, giving up all the dharmas and surrendering to the Supreme Lord, or simply acting according to the will of the Lord. That is the Apratak Dharma. That way, 3 points Prabhupada is saying. So another thing in this purport is that by the blessings of the Lord, the impossible can be possible. Normally, for a woman to deal equally with the different husbands is practically impossible. But blessings of the Lord can make the impossible into possible. That is also another thing. So, the Bhagavatam, elsewhere in the Bhagavatam, it is said that when Yoga Maya was told by the Lord, you must transfer Sankarshan from the womb of Devaki to from the womb of Rohini. So Yoga Maya was feeling that I have never done this particular service, transferring the child from one womb to another womb. It's impossible, that she was thinking. But then Krishna addressed Yoga Maya as Shubhe, who auspicious one. And by that Krishna said that, have my blessings, be blessed. Take power from me and you will be able to do it. So blessings can make the impossible into possible. So by the grace of the Lord, anyone can do anything, but the Lord is present in everything. All things being his parts and parcels. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim. Just screen share, okay. This is also another point about blessings which comes in the purport. Going ahead. Divya Varsha Sahasranam Sahasram Ahataujasaha Baumam Bokshyata Boganvai Divyam Chanugrahan Mama.
The Lord then blessed all the Prachetas, saying, My dear princess, by my mercy you can enjoy all the facilities of this world, as well as the heavenly world. Indeed, you can enjoy all of them without hindrance and with full strength for 1 million celestial years.
So Prachetas were blessed to enjoy for 3000 years. Divya Varsha Sahasranam. Divya Varsha Sahasranam. Because the Sahasranam is used in the Bahuvachana. Bahuvachana is for more than 2. So according to the Kapinjala Bema Nyaya. So here the Bahuvachana is used, therefore it refers to 3,000. So Lord is saying that you will enjoy for 3,000 years. Unlimited pleasures. So when we see enjoyment and wealth given by Krishna, or which is coming as a result of bhakti, will not bind a person. And a person can very easily give that up also. The Pandavas, we discussed last week, the Pandavas, they had opulences in the form of the palace built by Mayadanava. Duryodhan, when he saw those palaces, he became more envious. But Pandavas were living in that palace, but they did not get distracted by living in such an opulent palace, because that palace was constructed by Mayadanava under the guidance of Krishna. Krishna told Mayadanava, you perform this service to the Pandavas. So it was the opulence which is given by Krishna, which is coming as a result of Krishna Bhakti, that will not bind a person. But Bali Maharaj, he got opulences by forcibly taking away the kingdom of Indra. So Vamanadev took away the opulence, which was an obstacle for his progress, which he took by improper means. And the Pandavas also could give up all those opulences as soon as Krishna disappeared. Pandavas could easily retire. But when you suppose when a person has accumulated opulences by improper means, by not following dharma, then people become attached to those position opulences. They can't easily give it up. Atamayana payinya bhaktya pakvagunashaya upayasyata maddama nirvidya nirayadataha.
Thereafter you will develop unadulterated devotional service unto me and be freed from all material contamination. At that time, being completely unattached to material enjoyment in the so-called heavenly planets as well as in hellish planets, you will return home back to Godhead.
So the Lord is addressing them as Anapayanya Bhaktya, men whose hearts have all gunas burned by the undiminished bhakti. Anapayanya Bhaktya Pakva Gunashayaha. So actually it's a Sambodhana Vibhakti. Sambodhana Bahuvachan is addressing. Anapayanya Bhaktya, by the unadulterated bhakti. Anapayanya Bhaktya. Shuddha Bhakti ke dwara. By through undiminished bhakti, Pakva Gunashaya. Pakva Gunashaya, those whose 3 modes of nature, 3 gunas are burnt up. Such prachetas like this, he is addressing them. And then he says that Upayasyata Maddama Nirvidya Nirayadata. After the earthly enjoyment, you will become Nirvidya Nirayadata. You will become disgusted with the material places, and then you will attain my abode. You will attain my abode. So So here we see that it is not that Vishnu Chakravarti is clarifying. The Lord is addressing Prachetas as, O men in whose hearts... 1 minute. Hello?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, you are on mute. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhupada, Prachetas were given special facilities by the Lord. Although they could live millions of years to enjoy material facilities, but they still would not be deviated from the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Material attachment is very strong, but during one lifetime, materialist engages in acquiring land, etc. And he also wants to enjoy the heavenly planets. A devotee is always situated on the Brahman platform. He has nothing to do with the material happiness or distress. Although with a special blessing, the Prachetas would enjoy the material facilities for millions of years, they would not be attached to them. So therefore, at the end, they will be promoted to the spiritual world. Pakva Gunashaya has special significance. It means that by Bhakti, one is able to give up the influence of the three modes of nature. As long as one is influenced with the modes of nature, he cannot return to Godhead. Next shloka. This is an important shloka. गृहेष्वाविशतां चापि पुंसां कुशलकर्मणां मद्वार्ता यामाणां न बन्धाय गृहामताः.
Those who are engaged in auspicious activities in devotional service certainly understand that the ultimate enjoyer or beneficiary of all activities is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, when one acts, he offers the results to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and passes life always engaged in the topics of the Lord. Even though such a person may be participating in family life, he is not affected by the results of his actions.
The Prachetas are asking, you have told us to enjoy the earthly opulences. But this earthly enjoyment itself is like a hell. So why are you giving this material enjoyment to us? The Lord is saying, Kushala Karmanam. Those who serve me, and the householders, Griheshu, who perform acts of devotion, Kushala Karmanam, Mad Varta Yata Yamanam, while spending all the time in discussing my topics. Na Bandaya Griha Mata, they will not be bound by household life. So that is why in the 7th canto, 14th chapter, which is the chapter on Grihastha Ashram, Yudhishthira Maharaj asked a question to Narada Muni. How can the people in the Grihastha Ashram, what is the hope for them? So Narada Muni, if you see that chapter, what does Narada Muni say? He mainly emphasizes Grihastha should every day hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Yudhishthira Maharaj's question is that kindly explain how who we are staying at home without knowledge of the goal of life may also attain liberation. So Narada Muni says that Grihesh avastito rajan kriya kurvan yatochita vasudevarpanam sakshat upasita mahamunin. So those who stay at home must act to earn their livelihood, and instead of trying to enjoy the results of their work for themselves, they should offer these results to Krishna. How to satisfy Vasudeva in this life can be perfectly understood through the association of great devotees of the Lord. And then he says that Shrinvan Bhagavato Bhikshnam Avatara Katamritam Shraddadano Yatakalam Upashanta Janavara. A Grahastha must associate again and again with the saintly person. With great respect, he must hear the nectar of the activities of the Lord and his incarnations as described in the Bhagavatam. Thus, one should gradually become detached from affection for his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from a dream. The same point is mentioned here. Madvarta yata yamana. So the enjoyment which produces karma, fruitive activities, is the cause of bondage and is equivalent to hell. Such an enjoyment is unfavorable for bhakti. Such an enjoyment does not arise from Krishna's mercy. But when Lord is telling the Prachetas, you should enjoy the earth, this enjoyment is coming from the Lord's mercy. But the other types of enjoyment which don't directly come from the Lord, they would restrict the bhakti. But enjoyment ordered by Krishna would increase the bhakti. Therefore, it should be understood that this enjoyment arising from a mercy will not cause bondage. Also, in the case of Prutu, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva, and Swayambhu Manu, they also did not get bound by their enjoyment. So, my mercy toward persons who have not burnt up material impurities, how I show mercy to them who have not burnt up material impurities? I take away their opulences. Yasyagam anugrinami harishye taddanam shanai. But those people who have already burnt up their impurities, to them, I give them material enjoyment, but they will not get bound by that. So this shows how the Lord is having trust in the Pracheta. Next verse, very important shloka. Navyavat hridaye yajño brahmaitad brahmavadibihi na muhyanti na shochanti na krishyanti yato gataha.
Always engaging in the activities of devotional service, devotees feel ever increasingly fresh and new in all their activities. The all-knower, the super soul within the heart of the devotee, makes everything increasingly fresh. This is known as a Brahman position by the advocates of the absolute truth. In such a liberated stage, one is never bewildered, nor does one lament or become unnecessarily jubilant. This is due to the Brahma Bhuta situation.
Those who attained my form, which is known as Brahman, by the followers of Brahman, are not bewildered. Na muhyanti. Na shochanti, they do not lament. Na krishyanti, they do not rejoice. And since I am full of knowledge, I have entered their fresh lotus hearts. Navyavat hridaye yajño. I have entered their fresh lotus hearts. So because there is no suffering of bondage for these devotees, because I reside eternally in their hearts to give them joy. Those who attained that form are not bewildered. So here Prabhupada, the comments, Prabhupada and Acharyas, Navyavad Hridaye Yagyo. Jiva Goswami says the phrase means I reside ever fresh in their hearts. Ever fresh in their hearts. So if you see Prabhupada's purport, very beautiful. Generally, in the material world, people become bored after doing some activity. Any activities, people become bored after doing. The activities become stereotyped, hackneyed. There's a law of satiation in anything. But in the case of the holy names of Krishna, it becomes more and more new and fresh, exciting, especially when a person is purified. Rupa Goswami said that if he could somehow get millions of ears and tongues, he could relish spiritual bliss by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So there is really nothing uninspiring for a highly advanced devotee. So the Lord says that he is situated in everyone's heart and that he helps the living entity forget and remember. By the grace of the Lord, the devotee gets inspiration. Tadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. So those engaged in auspicious activities in bhakti are guided by the super soul. The super soul gives instruction to the sincere unalloyed devotee for how he can make progress. Jiva Goswami says that the super soul exists in everyone's heart, but in the heart of the devotee, he reveals himself as ever increasingly new. Being inspired by him, the devotee experiences increased transcendental bliss in the execution of his devotional service. So, ever increasingly new. That's why Shukdev Goswami says that Bhagavad Gita, Sanjaya says that Rajan Samsmritya Samvadam Imam Adbhutam Keshavarjunayo Punya Krishyamicha Muhur Muhuhu. As I remember this conversation, my hairs are standing on end. Parishit Maharaj says that Naitati Dussaha Kshunmam Tyaktodam Apibadate Pibantam Twan Mukambojam Chutam Harikatamrutam. I am not affected by hunger and thirst because I am drinking the nectar of Harikatha from you. Shukdev Goswami glorifies Parishit Maharaj. Sadhu Prishtam Mahabhaga Tvaya Bhagavatottama Yan Nutanasyashasya Shrinvan Apikatam Muhuhu. You are the topmost of the Mahabhagavatas because you are feeling newer and newer pleasure in hearing Krishna Katha. Satam Ayam Sarabrutam Nisargo Yadartavani Shutichetasam Api Pratikshanam Navyavat Achyutasya Yat Triya Vitanam Ivasadu Varta. The Paramahamsas who are attached, accepted the essence of life, are attached to Krishna in the core of their hearts. And it is their nature to talk only of Krishna at every moment, as if such topics are newer and newer. In this shloka, the word Achyuta is used. The meaning of the word Achyuta in this shloka, and this shloka comes in, and Parishit Maharaj asked that why did that killing of Aghasura discussed 1 year later. So why the meaning of the word Achyuta is that one who never deviates from rasa. Because one who never deviates from rasa, Krishna appears ever newer, fresh to the devotee, newer and newer to the devotee. Maitreya Uvacha Evam bruvanam purushartha bhajanam janardanam pranjalaya prachetasah taddarshanadvasta tamorajyo mala giragrinan gadgadaya suhruttamam.
The great sage Maitreya said, after the personality of God had spoke thus, the Prachetas began to offer him prayers. The Lord is the bestower of all success in life and is the supreme benefactor. He is also the supreme friend who takes away all miserable conditions experienced by a devotee. In a faltering voice, due to ecstasy, the Prachetas began to offer prayers. They were purified by the presence of the Lord who was before them face to face.
Tad darshana dvasta tamo rajo mala. They were devoid of tamoguna and rajoguna. With the pranjalaya, with the folded hands. They offered prayers with gadgadaya, with a choked up voice. To the suhruttamam, the greatest friend. Who is the purushartha bhajanam. The vessel holding life's goals. So, although they were already without tamas and rajas, by his presence they became free of the contamination of grief due to not seeing him. So, Purushartha Bhajanam, the bestower of the ultimate goal of life. Even the Dhromara's prayer, it comes. Satyashishohi Bhagavam Stavapada Padmam Ashis Tatanu Bhajata Purushartha Murte Apyeva Maria Bhagavan Paripati Dinan Varshreva Vatsaka Manugraha Katarosman. Purushartha Murte. The word comes. Or another Krutumara's prayer. Varan Vibhotvat Varadeshwarad Buddha. Varan Vibhotvat Varadeshwarad Buddha. Katam Vrinite Guna Vikriyatmanam. Ye Narakanam Apisanti Dehinam. Tanisha Kaivalyapate Vrinenacha. Here the word doesn't come. But Varadeshwara comes. So Purushartha Bhajanam, the bestower of the ultimate goal of life. Whatever we want in life can be attained by the mercy of the Lord. Since the Prachetas had already attained the Lord's mercy, they were no longer subject to the contamination of the material modes. Because the Lord appeared before them, naturally all the contaminations of the material qualities completely disappeared. Similarly, when an unalloyed devotee chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he is also purified of all the material contamination because the name of the Lord and Krishna are identical. Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna. So here Prabhupada, how he translates is that the Krishna purifies the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages. Developed the urge to hear his messages. Sometimes the devotees are dissatisfied due to not seeing the Supreme Lord. When the Prachetas saw the Supreme Lord, their unhappiness vanished. So now there are very beautiful prayers offered by Prachetas from the next shloka. Prachetasa vuchuhu Namo nama klesha vinashanaya Nirupito dara gunahvayaya Mano vacho vega purojavaya Sarvakshamargairagatadvane namaha.
The Prachetas spoke as follows. Dear Lord, you relieve all kinds of material distress. Your magnanimous transcendental qualities and holy name are all auspicious. This conclusion is already settled. You can go faster than the speed of mind and words. You cannot be perceived by material senses. We therefore offer you respectful obeisances again and again.
Namo Nama Klesha Vinashanaya. We offer respects to you who destroys the suffering. The first characteristic of bhakti is the Kleshagni. And Nirupita Udara Gunahvayaya, whose Udara Guna, whose great qualities are Nirupita Udara Guna Ahvayaya. Names are Nirupita Gunahvayaya are described in the Vedas. Mano Vacho Vega Purojavaya, who is quicker than the mind and the words. Mano Vacho Vega. Sarvaksha Margair Agatadvane, who cannot be perceived by the material senses. That is why he is called as Adokshaja. So, even there is another prayer in the third canto. The presiding deities of the material elements, when they offer prayer, they say to the Lord, Nanama te deva padaravindam prapanna tapo pashamata patram yanmula keta yatayonja soru samsara dukkam bahir utshipanti. We offer respects to your lotus feet, which are umbrella, which relieves the suffering of those who surrender to you. The devotees who take shelter of your lotus feet quickly uproot the suffering of material life. I'm quoting this in relation to Namo Nama Klesha Vinashanaya. So Prabhupada's purport here. Prabhupada comments on the word Sarvaksha Margair Agatadvane Namaha, who cannot be understood by the senses. For that he quotes Ata Sri Krishna Namadi Namavet Grehi Mandriyehe. Nirupita Udara Gunakvayaya, for that he quotes Vedeshcha Sarver Akameva Vedyo. So whatever he quotes, you can see in connection with some particular word in the shloka. And Mano Vacho Vega Puro Javaya, Isopanishad also mentions at the shloka. Upanishad. Fourth shloka, na? Fourth shloka, how he's faster than all the devatas who are running. Next shloka. Shuddhaya Shantaya Namasvanishtaya Manasyapartam Vilasadvayaya Namo Jagatstana Layodayeshu Grihita Maya Guna Vigrahaya.
Dear Lord, we beg to offer our obeisances unto you. When the mind is fixed upon you, the world of duality, although a place for material enjoyment, appears meaningless. Your transcendental form is full of transcendental bliss. We therefore offer our respects unto you. Your appearances as Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva are meant for the purpose of creating, maintaining, and annihilating this cosmic manifestation.
Shuddhaya, you are pure, peaceful, Swanishtaya, fixed in your Swarupa. And then Manasi Apartam Vilasadvayaya. When a person fixes one's mind upon you, then he transcends the dualities of this world. The dualities of the world become meaningless. Chitraketu Maharaj, who was the king of the Vidyadhara planet, he was cursed to become the man-eating demon. Chitraketu Maharaj's response was that, what is that shloka? Guna Pravaha Yetasmin. Guna Pravaha Yetasmin. Kim Sukham Dukkham Evava. गुणप्रवाहे एतस्मिन् कः शोको कोन् अनुग्रहः किं सुखं दुःखम् एव वा. In the fast flowing river of time, what is a heaven, what is a hell, what is happiness, what is distress, it's all temporary. So he sudden demoting from a position of king of the Vidyadhara planet to a Rakshasa, such a great duality, but he took that as a, he didn't take it seriously because his mind was fixed in the Lord. Manas yapartham vilasadvayaya. And namo jagatsthanal dayodayeshu grihita maya guna vigrahaya. For the sake of creation, maintenance, destruction, you accept the different gunavataras. The citizens of Ambarish Maharaj were accustomed to chanting and hearing the glorious activities of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they never aspired to be elevated to the heavenly planets, which are extremely dear even to the Devatas. Example for Shuddhaya, Shantaya, the Manasyapartham Vilasadvayaya. So Prabhupada quotes a mind which is engaged in the service of Krishna, anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayunjatah. Such a person is a liberated stage, is always fixed in the lotus feet. And material world is a world of duality. To maintain the three modes of nature, the Lord takes on the Gunavataras. The conclusion is that although a pure devotee appears to engage in material activities, he knows very well that the material enjoyment of sense gratification has no use whatsoever. Namo Vishuddha Sattvaya Haraye Hari Medase Vasudevaya Krishnaya Prabhave Sarva Sattvatam.
Sattvatam. Dear Lord, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you, because your existence is completely independent of all material influences. Your Lordship always takes away the devotee's miserable conditions, for your brain plans how to do so. You live everywhere as Paramatma, therefore, you are known as Vasudeva. You also accept Vasudev as your father, and you are celebrated by the name Krishna. You are so kind that you always increase the influence of all kinds of devotees.
Vishuddha Sattvaya, you have the form of Shuddha Sattva. And Haraye. Haraye, Hari means one who takes away, one who steals away. Knowledge of you removes the samsara, therefore you are the Hari. Hari Medase, or Hari Medase means knowledge of whom removes the samsara. Prabhupada says that Hari means one who takes away the miserable conditions of a devotee. Hari Medase means one who is always planning to do that. And one whose brain is always working how to take away the miseries of a living entity. Hari Medase. Vasudevaya Krishnaya, we offer respects to Hari, Vasudeva, Krishna, who is the Prabhave Sarva Sattvatam, the master of all beings. So Prabhave Sarva Sattvatam, Prabhupada says that one who always increases the influence of his devotees. One who wants to make the devotees more famous. So only a person who is completely satisfied within, he can actually empower others. He can make others famous. Somebody satisfied within, it will be difficult for him to empower other people because one may think that, oh, that person will get the fame. So Krishna defeated Jarasandha 17 times, but ultimately he gave the fame of the one who killed Jarasandha to Bhimasena. Because Krishna is Purna Kama, he is completely satisfied. Therefore, he gave that fame to Bhima. Many examples can be seen. But Prabhave Sarva Satvatam. And poison came, Krishna told all the devatas to approach Lord Shiva because he wanted to make Lord Shiva famous. Krishna inspired the Pandavas to go meet Bhishma Dev because he wanted to make Bhishma Dev famous. Let's elaborate purport on this. Hare Hari made us say. Vishuddha Sattva he is explaining first. Because Lord is situated in Vishuddha Sattva, those who equate Devatas with Vishnu, they are the Pakandis. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Daivate Samatve Naiva Viksheta Sa Pashandi Bhavedruve. One who considers Vishnu to be equal to Brahma and Shiva. Then he explains the position of Lord Shiva, Kshiram Yata Dadi Vikara Vishesha Yoga. So the Lord is very much interested in increasing the influence of his devotees. Prabhave Sarva Satvatam. The Supreme Lord has unlimited powers, yet he wants to see that his devotees are also interested with unlimited powers. A devotee of the Lord is always therefore distinguished from all other living entities. Hari means one who takes away all miserable conditions. So since the Lord delivers the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya, he is known as Hari Medas. Namak Kamala Nabaya, Namak Kamala Maline, Namak Kamala Padaya, Namaste Kamalekshana.
Dear Lord, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you, because from your abdomen sprouts the lotus flower, the origin of all living entities. You are always decorated with a lotus garland, and your feet resemble the lotus flower with all its fragrance. Your eyes are also like the petals of a lotus flowers. Therefore, we always offer our respectful obeisances unto you.
By Kamala Nabha, they are saying that you are the origin of the material creation because from your navel, lotus was born, from that Brahma was born. Aham Sarvasya Prabho, Mata Sarvam Pravartate. So we offer respects to you with a lotus navel, lotus garland, lotus feet, and lotus eyes. So blossoming flower made of the best of the blue sapphires, or a newly unfolded leaf of a tamala tree. I don't know what notes I mentioned. So similar to Queen Kunti's prayers, Namo Nama Pankaja Nabaya, Nama Pankaja Maline, Nama Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangraye. Similar to that. Namak Kamala Kinjalka Pinjal Pishangamala Vasase Sarva Bhutani Vasaya Mano Namo Yungshmahi Sakshine.
Dear Lord, the garment you have put on is yellowish in color, like the saffron of a lotus flower, but it is not made of anything material. Since you live in everyone's heart, you are the direct witness of all the activities of all living entities. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you again and again.
So, Namak Kamala Kinjalka, you are wearing a bright garlands. Pishanga Amala Vasase, yellow like a dark pollen. So, Prabhupada explains that even the dress worn by the Supreme Lord, that is also spiritual. That is why Pishanga Amala is used. So, everything, all the paraphernalia of the Lord, they are also spiritual. Sarva Bhuta Nivasaya, he is the witness of all beings. Therefore, we offer respects to that witness. Sarvase Chagam Hridhi Sannivishto Mata Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha. So, next is Rupam Bhagavatatvetat Ashesha Klesha Sankshayam Avishkritam na Klishtanam Kimanyatanu Kampitam.
Dear Lord, we conditioned souls are always covered by ignorance in the bodily conception of life. We therefore always prefer the miserable condition of material existence. To deliver us from these miserable conditions, you have advented yourself in this transcendental form. This is evidence of your unlimited causeless mercy upon those of us who are suffering in this way. What then to speak of the devotees to whom you are always so favorably disposed?
So, Ashesha Klesha Sankshayam, unlimited suffering. Rupam Bhagavatatu Yetad Avishkritam, you have revealed this form which destroys Ashesha Klesha Sankshayam, destroys unlimited suffering to persons like us who are suffering, Naha, Klishtanam, who are suffering in this world. Kim Anyat Anukampitam, what other mercy exists? So, the Prachetas are identifying themselves as the common man. So, in this purport, Prabhupada speaks about, I think, deity worship. So, although the Lord annihilates the demons, he nonetheless benefits them. Because Lord's killing is also in the absolute platform. All the people who died in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Tataiva Chanye Naraloka Veera Ya Ahave Krishna Mukaravindam Netrai Pibanto Nayanabhiramam Parthastra Puta Padamapurasya. Being purified by the arrows of Arjuna, Padamapurasya, they all attained Vaikuntha or the Brahma Jyoti. Superficially speaking, some people were getting killed in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. But deeply speaking, all of them, even those who were getting killed, they all got liberation because of seeing Krishna at the time of leaving their body. So, Avishkritam cha Klishtanam, Prachetas are identifying themselves as the common men. The devotees are always favorably accepted by the Lord. Lord shows all mercy, not only to the conditioned souls, but also to the devotees who are already liberated due to the devotional service. So the form of the Lord is called in the temple is the Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha is offered to the neophyte devotees so that they can see the real form of the Lord face to face and offer the respectful obeisances. Through such facilities, the neophytes gradually invoke their original Krishna consciousness. Deity worship in the form of the temple worship is the most valuable benediction given by the Lord to beginners. It's a causeless mercy on the Kanishta Adhikari. So you know that 4 analogies, that 5 forms of the Lord: Para, Vyuha, Vaibhava, Paramatma. Para is the form of the Lord in the spiritual world. As compared to the milk ocean. Milk ocean is inaccessible. Vyuha is the Chaturvyuha form of the Lord, again the spiritual world. That is compared to the water in the cloud, that is also inaccessible to us. Vaibhava is the different avatars of the Lord. Avatars are compared to the water in the rivers. They are accessible to the people, but only for people who are living in that particular region and only for particular times of the year. Other times water gets dried up. So the avatars of the Lord are accessible for those devotees who are those people who are born in that particular time and the place. And then Antaryami, but Antaryami is there all the time with the person. Antaryami is always accessible, but Antaryamis can be accessible only by practicing some Ashtanga Yoga. So Antaryami is like the groundwater which is always present, but in order to access the groundwater, you have to put great effort to dig a well or put a bore. But the fifth form of the Lord is the Archa Vigraha, which is the most merciful form of the Lord. The Archa Vigraha, you don't have to practice a tough, very difficult process of Ashtanga Yoga to serve Archa Vigraha. Archa Vigraha is accessible to the common people. Archa Vigraha is like the water in the tap. And even more merciful than Archa Vigraha is the holy name. Archa Vigraha also, to worship that, you need to follow certain cleanliness, but holy name is even more accessible. Next. Yetavatvam hi vibhubir bhavyam dineshu vatsalaihi yadanusmaryate kale sabuddhya bhadra randana.
Dear Lord, you are the killer of all inauspicious things. You are compassionate upon your poor devotees through the expansion of your Archa Vigraha. You should certainly think of us as your eternal servants.
Abhadra Randana, O destroyer of misfortune. Those masters who are Dineshu Vatsalaihi, who are affectionate to their poor servants, recognize them as their loyal servants at the time they perform service. Yad anusmaryate kale. They recognize their servants. And you are such a master. So masters remember the followers as their servants at the time they perform service. So in the shloka, again Prabhupada speaks about Archa Vigraha. Archa Vigraha is an expansion of his unlimited potencies. When the Lord is gradually satisfied with the service of a devotee, he accepts the devotee as one of his many unallied servants. So because the verse contains Dineshu Vatsalai, Prabhupada also speaks about the Bhakta Vatsalya nature of the Lord. Krishna is a Bhavagrahi Janardana. He accepts the mood of a devotee. So then he also gives a story of that Brahmana Pratishtanpur, how he was serving the Lord in the mind. And then he offered a sweet rice. The Lord accepted, like he wanted to test the sweet rice, whether it is cool or hot. At that time, he actually got burnt. His finger actually got burnt. So the story of the Brahmana Pratishtanpur comes in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in relation to Seva Dhyana. Next shloka. Yenopashantir bhutanam kshullakanam apihatam antarhitontar hridaye kasmanno veda nashishaha. 29. 28. 28 is done.
Done. When the Lord, out of his natural compassion, thinks of his devotee by that process only, are all desires of the neophyte devotee fulfilled. The Lord is situated in every living entity's heart, although the living entity may be very insignificant. The Lord knows everything about the living entity, including all his desires, although we are insignificant. Why should the Lord not know our desires?
So, Yenopashantir bhutanam shullakanam apihatam. By your remembering your servants, antarhito antarhridaye, the servants feel happiness. Since you are situated in the hearts of the most insignificant, Shullakanam api, and greedy people, Shullakanam api ihatam, how can you, purifier of their mind, not know their desires? Kasman no veda nashishaha. You know everyone's desires. By your remembrance of your devotees, they feel happiness, upashanti. Yena upashanti. But you are situated in the hearts of the most insignificant persons and even those with material desires, such as us. Ihatam. They are saying Ihatam. You are also there is a super soul in the hearts of people like us who have material desires. And Kasmat no Veda Nashishaka. How could you not know our desires? And from you comes the purification of the Antakarana. Antarhito Antarhridaye. So Prachetas are considering themselves to be, although they are so advanced, but they are considering themselves to be insignificant. The nature of the advanced devotee is that although they are advanced, they think themselves to be insignificant. But on the other hand, the impersonalists, they think that Yenye Aravindaksha Vimukta Maninas. They think themselves to be liberated, although they are not liberated. So Prabhupada's purport. He talks about the humility of the advanced devotee. The Lord gives the opportunity to the non-devotees to fulfill their desires. Whenever a living entity desires, however insignificant he may be, is noted by the Lord, who gives him a chance to fulfill his desires. If the desires of the non-devotees are fulfilled, why not those of the devotee? A pure devotee simply wants to render service, and if he wants this within the core of his heart, where the Lord is situated, and if he is without ulterior motive, why should the Lord not understand? If a sincere devotee renders service to the Lord or to the Archa Vigraha, all his activities prove successful because the Lord is present within his heart and understands his sincerity. Next shloka. Asaveva varausmakam ईप्सितो जगतपते प्रसन्नो भगवानेशाम् अपवर्ग गुरुर्गतिः.
O Lord of the universe, you are the actual teacher of the science of devotional service. We are satisfied that your lordship is the ultimate goal of our lives. And we pray that you will be satisfied with us. That is our benediction. We do not desire anything other than your full satisfaction.
Jagatapate, O master of the universe, they are saying that Apavarga Guru, you are more important than liberation. Apavarga Guru. And Gati, you are the goal. And our desired boon is that Asau Eva Vara Asmakam Ipsitaha. Our goal is that you be pleased with us. Asmakam Ipsitaha, be pleased with us. Prasanno Bhagavan Yesham. If one attains you, then what is the use of everything, including liberation? So here, Apavarga Guru, Prabhupada is highlighting that Supreme Lord is the ultimate fact of the absolute truth. That means, according to the Bhagavatam, the Prayojana of the Bhagavatam is not even Apavarga. It is something higher than that. That is the Krishna Prema, the Purushartha Shiromani. So he describes the difference between Pavarga and Apavarga. Pavarga, Pavarga, that Pa, Pha, Ba, Ba, Ma. What do they explain? Parishrama, Phena, Bandhan, Bhaya, and Mrityu. So, liberation begins with merging into Brahman, effulgence of the Supreme Lord. This conception is held by Jnani Sampradaya, but realization of the personality of Godhead is higher. When a devotee understands that the Lord is satisfied, liberation is not very difficult. One has to approach the Supreme Godhead through the impersonal Brahman effulgence, just as one has to approach the sun through the sunshine. It is not very difficult to merge into the impersonal effulgence of the Lord if one has satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Varam vrinima hetapi natatvat paratapparat nahyantasvad vibhutinam tonanta iti giyase.
Sonanta iti giyase. Dear Lord, we shall therefore pray for your benediction, because you are the supreme, beyond all transcendence, and because there is no end to your opulences. Consequently, you are celebrated by the name Ananta.
So we ask for another boon from you who are the cause of all causes. Parata parat. Param vrinimehe ataapi. And nahi antastvad vibhutinam, because there is no end to your vibhuti, splendor, therefore you are called as Ananta. So there was no need for the prachetas to ask any benediction from the Lord, because they are simply satisfied with the presence of the Supreme Lord. Then he gives the example of Dhruva Maharaj, how Dhruva Maharaj wanted to get a kingdom greater than that of Brahma, but then finally he said that Swamin Kritarthosmi Varam na yache. Simply, the devotee simply wants to be in the presence of the Lord. So the Lord asked the prachetas, what kind of benediction should we pray for? Asked the prachetas to pray for some benediction. So the Lord is unlimited and there are unlimited benedictions. The purport is that if one must ask for benediction, he must ask for unlimited benediction. So the word para means a transcendental, beyond this material world. The impersonal Brahman effulgence is beyond the material world, and this is called Parampadam. So the personality of Godhead is Parata Parat, beyond Brahman and Paramatma realization. And Parata Parat means better than the best. The best is the spiritual world, and it is known as Brahman. But the Supreme Lord is known as Parabrahman, therefore he is better than the Brahman realization. So Prachetas plan to ask the Lord for something that has no limit. What is that? The Lord's name forms qualities and pastimes. There is no limit to that. So once a Parashara Bhatta was standing in front of Ranganatha deity. Ranganatha asked him, why don't you glorify me? So Parashara Bhatta thought for a moment and then he said that, please give me 1,000 tongues with the capacity like that of Ananta Sesha. And the Lord was puzzled why he is asking for such a benediction. And then he gave 1,000 tongues. And then Parashara Bhatta, he thought for a moment and then he said that it is not possible to glorify you. So the Lord said, you asked for 1,000 tongues and then you are not, he said, now you are saying it's not possible to glorify me. And Parashara Bhatta said, yeah, because it's not possible to glorify you completely because your glories are unlimited. With these 1,000 tongues, it's not possible to glorify you. The Lord said, then why did you ask for this 1,000 tongues? If you knew that my glories are unlimited, why did you ask for it? He said that in order for other people to take my words seriously, that your glories are unlimited, it cannot be described fully. When I make that statement, after obtaining 1,000 tongues with the capacity of Ananta Sesha, then they will take my statement seriously, that your glories are unlimited. So therefore, I asked for the benediction and then I told that your glories are unlimited. So this is a song composed in Ranganatha Ashtakam. And the next shloka, next 3 shlokas, in order to taste the sweetness of the Lord's lotus feet, the Prachetas ask for a boon. Very beautiful shloka. Harijatenja salabde Sarangonyanna sevate Twadangri Moolamasadya Sakshat Kim Kim Vrinimahe.
Dear Lord, when the bee approaches the celestial tree called the Parijat, it certainly does not leave the tree because there is no need for such action. Similarly, when we have approached your lotus feet and taken shelter of them, what further benediction may we ask of you?
When the Prachetas address the Lord as Ananta, you are unlimited. So then ask for, since I'm unlimited, you only mentioned my name as Ananta. So ask for many boons, as much as you want, I will give. Prachetas are saying that we only want your lotus feet. In order to attain a taste of that sweetness, there is one boon we desire. Other than that, we do not ask any benedictions. So just like a bumblebee, he keeps wandering, but when it comes to Parijata flower, after that it stops wandering because it becomes completely satisfied. Similarly, having attained your lotus feet, a living entity becomes completely satisfied and he loses interest to wander in this world. The Parijata supplies unlimited supplies of honey, then that bumblebee will not want to go to another tree. Similarly, if one is fixed in the service of the Lord, there is unlimited transcendental bliss, and as such, there is no need to ask for further benediction. The Parijata tree is not commonly found in the material world. This is also known as Kalpa Vriksha. One can get anything he desires from such a tree. However, one can get whatever he wants from the Parijata tree. This tree is found in the spiritual world. Prabhupada says the Parijata tree is like the Kalpa Vriksha tree. And how it was brought by Krishna to Satyabhama because she wanted a Parijata tree, Parijata flower. Next shloka. Yavatte mayaya sprishta brahmamayiha karmabhihi tavat bhavat prasanganam sangasyanno bhave bhave.
Dear Lord, as long as we have to remain within this material world due to our material contamination and wander from one type of body to another and from one planet to another, we pray that we may associate with those who are engaged in discussing your pastimes. We pray for this benediction life after life in different bodily forms and on different planets.
Yavatte mayaya sprishta brahmama yuha karmabhihi. Very beautiful prayer. As long as we wander about in this world because of our actions, brahmama iha karmabhihi tavat bhavat prasanganam, may we attain the association of devotees, bhave bhave, life after life. Life after life. Just like the Vritrasura offered a similar prayer. Mamottama shloka janeshu sakyam. Mamottama shloka janeshu sakyam. Next line. Samsara chakra brahmatam swakarmabhihi. So he also says that as long as I keep wandering this world, I want the association of your devotees. So here also we see the humility of Prabhupada, the Prachetas, because they feel that like, we are going to be in this material world, we are not qualified to go to spiritual world. But as long as we are here, we just want the association of devotees. So this is the best benediction that a devotee can ask from the Supreme Lord. Just like Parishit Maharaj asked, Punascha Bhuyat Bhagavat Anante Rati Prasangascha Tadashrayeshu Mahatsu yam yam upayami srishtim maitrascha sarvatra namo dvijebhyah. We have to take birth again in this world. Let me have friendship with the devotees, compassion towards the people, and devotion to you. So similarly here, this is the best benediction. One may be in one position or another according to destiny, but in any case, one must continue to hear about the activities and pastimes of the Lord. A pure devotee does not even ask for the cessation of samsara because he does not consider that important. The most important thing for a devotee is getting a chance to hear about the pastimes and glories of the Lord. Prithu Maharaj also asked the same, similar this one. Na kamaye nata tadapyaham kvachin nayatra yushma charanam bujasava mahattamantar hridayan mukachyuto vidatsva karna yutameshame varaha. So for a devotee, everything is in the spiritual world. For as long as he can hear about the pastimes of the Lord. Naham tishtami vaikunte yoginam Naham tishtami vaikunte tatra tishtami narada yatra gayanti madbhakta. When the pure devotees assemble to hear and chant, the place where they assemble becomes Vaikunta. So there is no need to pray to the Lord for transferal to the Vaikunta planets. So similar to the Mahaprabhu's prayer, Mama Janmani Janmani Ishwari Bhavatad Bhakti Rahetu Kitoi. So if we see Mahaprabhu's Shikshashtakam, how each prayer is also, each of these prayer is also, we can see the same mood offered in the different prayers of the Bhagavatam. Mama Janmani Janmani Ishwari is there in this prayer. Aslishya Vapada Ratam Pinashtubam is there in the last prayer of Prithu Maharaj. Nadanam Najanam Na Sundarim is there in Vitrasur prayer. Nanaka Prishtam Nacha Parameshtyam. So that sense. So out of humility, a devotee considers himself unfit to be transferred to the spiritual world. He always thinks himself contaminated by the modes of nature. Nor is there any need for a devotee to ask be freed from the modes of nature. The conclusion is that a pure devotee is not anxious to stop the samsara, but is always eager to associate with other devotees who are engaged in hearing and chanting. Tulayamala venapi nasvargam na punarbhavam bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kimutashishaha. Henry?
Even a moment's association with the pure devotee cannot be compared to being transferred to heavenly planets or even merging into the Brahman effulgence in complete liberation. For living entities who are destined to give up the body and die, association with pure devotees is the highest benediction.
So, 33rd verse, he asked that we just want the association of a devotee's life after life. Next 3 shlokas, they are glorifying the association of devotees. We do not compare attainment of Swarga or liberation to even a moment's association with the devotee. What to speak of comparing it to the enjoyments of this life? So you said that you are contaminated by Maya, Yavatte Mayaya Sprishta. So why don't you directly ask for liberation? So in response, he is saying, they are saying that we don't compare the moment association of the devotees even with the liberation. What to speak of other things? So association of devotees is experienced to be thousands of times better than Swarga or liberation. Because with the devotee association, you can experience the sweetness of the talks about your form and qualities. That is millions of times superior to the happiness of Swarga. Naham vashami vaikunte na yogi hridayet ravau. Madbhakta yatra gayanti tatra trishtami narada. So although you give all happiness to others, the devotee gives you the highest happiness. Therefore, we pray for devotee association. So Prabhupada quotes Kaivalyam Narakayate Tadashapur Akasha Pushpayate. The Kaivalya is considered to be hellish by the devotee. the topmost benediction for those who are living in the material world is the association of the pure devotees. So one should search out such pure devotees and remain with them. That is why in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, the sadhu sangha is the root of devotional service. And once a person, Krishna Prema, once a person has developed Krishna Prema, then also the sadhu sangha is the most important anga of bhakti. Here the Prachetas or the Dhruva Maharaj, after when they got the darshana of the Lord, they are asking for association of devotees. So again, another statement, another mood and mission statement of Prabhupada. Krishna consciousness movement is started for that purpose. That means to give association of the devotees. A person who is overly affected materially may take advantage of this movement and become intimately associated with it. In this way, the confused and frustrated inhabitants of the material world may find the highest happiness in association with the devotees. Yatredyante katamrishta trishnaya prashamo yatah nirvairam yatra bhuteshu nodvego yatra kaschana.
Whenever pure topics of the transcendental world are discussed, the members of the audience forget all kinds of material hankerings, at least for the time being. Not only that, but they are no longer envious of one another, nor do they suffer from anxiety or fear.
So devotee association is recommended at all times for the Siddha Bhaktas and the Sadhaka Bhaktas. So Trishnaya Prashamo Yataha. When there is Krishna Katha, all the hankerings cease. Nirvairam Yatra Bhuteshu, the hostility reduces. Nodvego na udvego yatra kaschana. In that association, there is no agitation. So that is why oftentimes one of the reason, sometimes when there is so much of quarrel between, say, different devotees or competition or something, one of the reason is that whether those devotees are coming together and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So when there is a proper Krishna Katha, Srimad Bhagavatam, by that many of the management problems can reduce actually. Oftentimes, sometimes that culture we don't, it's not seen in some places. So because of that, there are so many problems, quarrels and this thing, competition, this one. So therefore, this is by hearing Krishna Katha, Trishnaya Prashamo Yata, Nirvairam Yatra Bhuteshu, Nodvego Yatra Kaschana. So 3 things are mentioned. And so Vaikunta means without anxiety. So Prahlad Maharaj said that Sada Samadvigna Diyam Asadgrahat. A place immediately becomes Vaikunta whenever the holy topics of the Lord are discussed with the pure devotees. Nagam Tishtami Vaikunte. Because of the presence of the Lord, the Vaikunta atmosphere is evoked. And this atmosphere is without fear and anxiety. So one living entity does not fear another. By hearing the holy names and glories of the Lord, a person executes pious activities. Shinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, and thus his material hankerings immediately stop. The Sankirtan movement is meant for creating Vaikunta, the world which is without anxiety. So animalistic envy exists in human society as long as there is no performance of Sankirtan. Therefore, Prachetas decided to remain always in the society of devotees. Yatra Narayana Sakshat Bhagavan Yasi Nam Gatihi Samstuyate Satkatasu Mukta Sangha Punaha.
Supreme Lord Narayana is present among devotees who are engaged in hearing and chanting the holy name of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Narayana is the ultimate goal of sannyasis, those in the renounced order of life. And Narayana is worshipped through this Sankirtan movement by those who are liberated from material contamination. Indeed, they recite the holy name again and again.
We'll take 10 minutes and we'll complete it. But then the remaining will take. So in that association, Narayana, who is the Bhagavan Nyasinam Gatihi, the goal of the sannyasis, Punaha, repeatedly, Samstuyate, praised by Mukta Sangai, persons without material contamination, through Satkatasu, through pure discussions. Through pure discussions. So, the Mayavadi sannyasis are missing the real presence of Narayana because they falsely claim to be Narayana himself. So, according to the customary etiquette of Mayavadi sannyasis, they address one another as Narayana. To say that everyone is a temple of Narayana is correct, but to accept another human being as Narayana is a great offense. Daridra Narayana concept. So, even to identify Narayana with the Devatas is an offense. And what to speak of ordinary Jivatma to Narayana, how much it is an offense. So by performing Sankirtan, one can immediately please the Lord, then Narayana himself descends and immediately is present. So in this in this age of Kali, Narayana is immediately present in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishna Sangopangastra. So whenever there is a congregational chanting, Gaura Narayana immediately appears and is worshipped by Sankirtan Yagya. The Prabhupada is bringing the point. Prachetas are saying that Yatra Narayana Sakshat Bhagavan Yasinam Hari. Narayana is immediately present wherever there is hearing and chanting. And Prabhupada says whenever there is Sankirtan Yagya in Kali Yuga, Gaura Narayana comes. And Narayana is also the ultimate goal of the sannyasis. So the Vaishnava sannyasi therefore dedicates his life to serving Narayana. He does not falsely claim himself to be Narayana. So when one chants or discusses the transcendental activities, he immediately becomes non-envious. In this world, how everyone is envious of others. Because of our envy, the Supreme Lord, we have become envious of other living entities. Tesham vicharatam padbyam tirtanam pavanechaya Pitasya kimna rocheta tavakanam samagamaha.
Dear Lord, your personal associates, devotees wander all over the world to purify even the holy places of pilgrimage. Is not such activity pleasing to?
So when the devotees with the desire to be purified, when they go to holy places, Pavana Ichaya, they go to holy places thinking that we need to be purified. When they go to holy places, should not a person suffering fear of this world relish a meeting with those devotees? So the devotees go to holy places with a desire to purify themselves. But the holy places, by seeing the devotees, they think that, oh, let us be purified when the devotees come and take bath in us. Because so many people have deposited their sins in us, we need to be purified. Ganga was concerned, oh, if I come to this world, people will deposit their sins, then how will I become purified? The holy places, they desire to get the association of devotees because they want themselves to be purified. Devotees go there thinking that we want to be purified. So the holy places, they think that it is good fortune that the devotees come and purify them. But the devotees go there for getting purified by the holy places. So, Beetasya kimna rocheta. A person who is fearing this samsara, he should actually relish the meeting with such devotees. Or which person will not relish a meeting with such devotees? Kim na rocheta tavakanam samagamaha. So Prabhupada talks about Goshtyanandi and Bhajananandi. That Goshtyanandi desires to increase the number of devotees all over the world. He travels all over the world to preach. And devotees like the Narada travel all over the world to preach. They are Goshtyanandi. Narada made even a hunter Mrigari as a devotee. He made Prahlad Maharaj as a devotee. A devotee is not even afraid of hell. He goes to preach the glories of the Lord everywhere, even in hell. Narayana parasarve na kutaschana bibhyati swargapavarga narakeshu apitulyat darshanah. Then a pure devotee goes to a place of pilgrimage. He desires to purify that holy place of pilgrimage. And many sinful men bathe in the holy place of pilgrimage. They take their baths in the water to the Ganges and Yamuna. In this way, the sinful men are purified. But the sinful reactions remain. And when a devotee comes there, Bhavad Vida Bhagavata, Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho, Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani Swantastena Gadabrata. So it is therefore the duty of everyone to associate with a pure devotee and thus attain freedom. So the last shloka will take. Vayam tu sakshat Bhagavan Bhavasya Priyasya Sakyurkshana Sangamena Sudushchukitsyasya Bhavasya Mrityor Bishaktamam Tvadyagatim Gatasma.
Dear Lord, by virtue of a moment's association with Lord Shiva, who is very dear to you and who is your most intimate friend, we were fortunate to attain you. You are the most expert physician, capable of treating the incurable disease of material existence. On account of our great fortune, we have been able to take shelter at your lotus feet.
The Prachetas are saying that by the association with your dear friend Shiva, we have today attained you. And you are the Sudush Chukitsyasya Bhavasya Mrityur. You are the best remedy for the birth and death. This samsara is the most difficult disease to cure. Sudush Chikitsyasya. But you are the Bishaktama, you are the best of the doctors. Bishaktama. And we have obtained your association because of our association with Lord Shiva, who is your dear friend. Priyasya Sakyur Kshana Sangamena. The Prachetas are, they are not telling that we performing 10,000 years of austerity is the cause of we getting your association. Rather, we getting the mercy of your pure devotee Lord Shiva, hearing from them, hearing the Rudra Gita from them, that is the cause of we getting your association. So the boon we want from attaining you, the result of attaining you is association with the devotees. The sadhana for attaining you is also association with the devotees. So by meeting Shiva, we have achieved you the best remedy for the disease of birth and death. There are so many diseases. Many diseases, at least we are aware of the disease-free life and the diseased life. Therefore, a person voluntarily he goes to a doctor to get rid of the disease because he has remembrance of the disease-free life. But the disease of samsara is that because we have this disease since Anadi Kala, so we don't know how the life free from this disease looks like. We have no experience, we have no remembrance. So therefore, people consider the diseased state to be the normal condition. So therefore, nobody voluntarily goes to a doctor because he doesn't even understand that he is diseased. But this disease of samsara is the most difficult disease to cure. Sudush Chukitsyasya Bhavasya Mrityu. Even in the 10th canto, it is said that Nivritta Tarshair Upagiyamanat Bhavaushada Shrotra Manobi Ramat. Ka Uttama Shloka Gunanuvada Kuman Virajyeta Vina Pashupna. So the Krishna Katha is like the medicine for the Bhavaroga. So Lord Shiva is the supreme friend, devotee of Vishnu, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. And those who are actually devotees of Shiva follow Shiva's advice and take shelter at the lotus feet of Vishnu. The so-called devotees of Shiva are simply after material prosperity and in a way deceived by Shiva. He does not actually deceive them because Shiva has no business deceiving people. But because the so-called devotees of Shiva want to be deceived, Shiva, who is very easily pleased, allows them all kinds of material benedictions. These benedictions might ironically result in the destruction of the so-called devotees. For example, Ravana was ultimately destroyed with his family because he misused Shiva's benediction. Because of his material power, he became very proud and puffed up so that he dared to kidnap the wife of Lord Ram. So to get material benediction from Shiva is not difficult, but actually these are not the benedictions. Prachetas received a benediction from Shiva, and as a result, they attained the shelter of the lotus feet of Vishnu. So then Prabhupada quotes Same says, Kritagnyana, Prapadyanti Anya Devata, and then Ekale Ishwara Krishna Ara Sabhabhratya. There is no difference of opinion between Shiva and Vishnu in this connection. The only supreme matter is Krishna, master is Krishna, and all others are his devotees. So nowhere in the scripture does Lord Shiva claim to be equal to Vishnu. This is simply the creation of the so-called devotees of Shiva. Yastu, again, Yastu Narayanam Devam, Samatvainama Viliyeta, Nabhavet Pashandismata. So we'll continue this. Few more prayers are there. We'll continue this chapter and complete the next chapter tomorrow. Anybody has any questions or comments? Should we stop here? Okay. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Pura Bhakta Vrinda. Mhm.